The 2023 Academy of Country Music Award nominations have been released, and as always, there are some snubs, surprises, and shoo-ins. You can watch the award show on May 11th, streaming exclusively on Amazon Prime, or you can follow along by heading to the THENASHNEWS website and social media pages for updates on the winners, performances, and highlights throughout the night. Before we get to the breakdown of nominees in each major category, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video to keep up with all future country music news. The 58th Academy of Country Music Awards, also known as the ACM Awards, are set to take place this May 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, streaming exclusively on Amazon Prime. This year's show is hosted by country music superstars Garth Brooks and Dolly Parton. Before we dive into each category, I want to provide some context on the state of country music during the eligibility period for this year's award show, which was November 16th, 2021 through December 31st, 2022. Throughout 2022, the music industry as a whole has been heavily influenced by TikTok and trying to find the new norm of releasing and promoting music in the post-COVID lockdown era. The country music industry charts in particular have been ruled by Morgan Wallen, Zach Bryan, Luke Combs, and Taylor Swift's re-releases. Wallen's Dangerous, the double album, spent 48 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Top Country charts. However, the ACM Awards are voted on by members of the Academy of Country Music. In order to become a member of this organization, you must be an individual or a business who is primarily engaged in the creation, production, promotion, and/or distribution of country music in a professional capacity. With that being said, let's get into the nominees. Quick disclaimer, this video is mostly factual, but I do share some personal opinions about the snubs, surprises, and frontrunners in each category. I don't think my opinions are better than yours, and I'm open-minded, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on the ACM Award nominations in the comments section. Let's start off with the New Artist of the Year categories. In order to be eligible for a nomination in one of the New Artist of the Year categories, you had to have gained recognition within your debut or sophomore album cycle, and the nominees had to have had released a song that reached the top 40 on either the Billboard Hot Country Song charts or the media-based country charts. The nominees for New Male Artist of the Year are Zach Bryan, Jackson Dean, Ernest, Dylan Scott, Nate Smith, and Bailey Zimmerman. Most of these artists, I would argue with the exception of Jackson Dean, have risen to popularity through social media. I know Zach Bryan has a ton of fans that want to see him win, but usually he's pretty anti-establishment, so it will be interesting to see if the industry votes for him, despite the fact that he is one of the most streamed country artists of the past year. Ernest is known for being a frequent Morgan Wallen collaborator. He co-wrote 11 songs on Wallen's most recent album and opened for Wallen on tour last year, but he's starting to make a name of his own as a solo act. Dylan Scott felt like one of the biggest surprises in this category, especially to his fans, because he's been releasing consistent radio singles for years now. My Girl, arguably his most popular single, went number 1 in 2016. New Truck is probably his current standout single, but even that went number 1 in 2021. He does have commercial appeal, but he's probably not a frontrunner just because I don't think that many people categorize him as new. Nate Smith did have his debut single reach number 1, which is never something to look away from. Whiskey on You was a breakout hit, and there will surely be more songs to look out for from him. Bailey Zimmerman broke a ton of records this year, which I think makes him one of the frontrunners of this category. His debut EP, Leave the Light On, was the most streamed all-genre debut of 2022. His single, Rock in a Hard Place, raced to the top of the charts even faster than Fall in Love did. The 3-month, 3-week span between the songs hitting number 1 is the quickest for any act's first 2 songs to climb the charts in 25 years. Not to mention, he's going to be on one of the hottest tours this year opening for Morgan Wallen. A notable snub in this category was Jelly Roll, who just won 3 fan-voted CMT awards. He was number 1 on the charts with his song Son of a Sinner, which is also an Ernest co-write. He has built a dedicated fan base that not only supports him online, but by attending his live shows. He went on to sell out Bridgeview Arena last year in Nashville, which is no small feat. The nominees for New Female Artist of the Year are Haley Witters, Megan Maroney, Priscilla Block, Morgan Wade, and Caitlin Smith. Priscilla Block seems to be the frontrunner with fans. She is known for being unapologetically herself online, leading her to rise on TikTok during the pandemic. She has hit the top of the iTunes charts with her debut single, Just About Over You, and her current single, My Bar, went viral on TikTok. Megan Maroney is best known for her current single, Tennessee Orange, which had a ton of online speculation to be about Morgan Wallen. I think she's the front runner in this category because before Megan signed a record deal with Sony Nashville, she was the first female independent country artist to land a song on the Billboard Hot 100, and she did just win the fan-voted CMT Award for Breakthrough Female Artist Video of the Year. Caitlin Smith was a pleasant surprise to see in this category. She is known for being a songwriter, especially of Garth Brooks' Tacoma, and she's also collaborated with Miley Cyrus on songs like Island and High. She's been opening for George Strait at many of his shows over the past few years and has one of the most unique voices out of everybody in this category. Everyone fell in love with Morgan Wade after the release of her debut single, Wilder Days. She has an authentically cool style that incorporates rock and country. Wade is surely a critic favorite as well with her music. Hailey Whitters is also a contender in this category because she had a viral single when Everything She Ain't took over TikTok, and she's also been critically acclaimed for years for just being a standout songwriter and staying true to herself and being really original. An interesting observation I had when comparing the nominees in this category was that none of these nominees have had the commercial success. I think that says a lot about the state of country radio right now, that 5 out of 6 of the nominees in the new Male Artist of the Year category have had #1 songs on country radio. The only one that hasn't had a #1 song on country radio is Zach Bryan, but he's earned a #1 song on the Billboard Hot Country charts, as well as the Hot Rock and Alternative charts. Obviously, the women nominated in this category are more than deserving of the same commercial success, and I hope to see it more of it in the next year. The Academy of Country Music website does list that there is a new duo/group of the year category, but I guess no artist has fit the criteria to even qualify as a nominee over the past few years because no one has won since 2018 when Lanco took home that award. Next, we're going to look at Single and Song of the Year categories. In simplest terms, both categories recognize popular country songs, but Song of the Year is seen to be as more of a songwriter award, while Single of the Year recognizes commercial success. A song must have charted in the top 20 to be eligible as a nominee for Single of the Year, but it only has to reach the top 50 to be eligible for Song of the Year. And as I mentioned earlier, Song of the Year is awarded to the songwriters and the publishers and the artists involved with the track, while Single of the Year is awarded to the artists, producers, and record company. So nominees for Single of the Year at the 2023 ACM Awards are Heart Like a Truck by Lainey Wilson, which is a recent #1 song. Lainey has a ton of industry support going into this award show, not to mention the song is used in the Rams truck commercial, which I see all of the time. And she just has become one of the most front-running females in country music in the past year, so a win by her wouldn't be a surprise. Never Wanted to Be That Girl by Carly Pearce and Ashley McBryde does already have a CMA and a Grammy behind it. Pearce and McBryde are both backed by the industry and by fans, making them also in contention to win this award. The next nominee is She Had Me at Heads Carolina by Cole Swindell. This song was practically everywhere in 2022, but I do think it's a wild card because although it was popular, I just don't see critics agreeing that this is the pick for Single of the Year, and I do think it scored a lot of nominations for being original in terms of referencing 90s country music, especially a woman from 90s country, Jo Dee Messina. And I think that nostalgia did help it score a lot of nominations. And I do think it will be interesting to see if they actually take home any wins. Next in this category, we have Thank God by Kane Brown and his wife Caitlin Brown. This song was released most recently out of all of its fellow nominees, and it does have all of the ingredients for being Single of the Year. It was #1 on radio, it has a big name behind it, and it is perfectly produced in my opinion. Brown has called it one of the biggest songs of his career, and it did just win one of the biggest awards at the CMT Music Awards. Lastly, we have Till You Can't by Cody Johnson. This song did win Single of the Year at the CMAs last fall, so a win at the ACMs would not be a shock. This song was a massive hit in 2022 and gave Cody the commercial success that his fans know he's been deserving for a long time now. Nominees for Song of the Year, on the other hand, reminder this one is more of a songwriter award, are Stand in My Boots, recorded by Morgan Wallen, written by Ashley Gorley, Josh Osborne, and Hardy. She Had Me at Heads Carolina, recorded by Cole Swindell, written by Ashley Gorley, Cole Swindell, Jesse Frazier, Mark D. Sanders, Thomas Rhett, and Tim Nichols. Till You Can't, recorded by Cody Johnson, written by Ben Stennis and Matt Rogers. Wait in the Truck, recorded by Hardy, featuring Lainey Wilson, written by Hunter Phelps, Jordan Smith, Michael Hardy, and Renee Blair. You Should Probably Leave, recorded by Chris Stapleton, written by Ashley Gorley, Chris Dubois. This leads us to the Album of the Year category. Album of the Year is awarded to the artist, producer, or producers and record company behind the release. An album is defined by the Academy of Country Music as a unified body of work with a minimum of 7 full-length songs and or 30 minutes of music. The album release cycle starts with the first single, and in order to be eligible for an award, the album must have a minimum of 75% original music that was not previously recorded or released. This eliminates any best of, greatest hits, or Taylor Swift re-release albums to becoming eligible. The nominees this year are Mr. Saturday Night by Jon Pardi, Ashley McBryde Presents Lindville by Ashley McBryde, Palomino by Miranda Lambert, Growing Up by Luke Combs, and Bell Bottom Country by Lainey Wilson. It's hard to tell who will win this award, but important to note that Jon Pardi is nominated as both an artist and a producer for Mr. Saturday Night, and this is Pardi's third consecutive album to receive an ACM nomination. John Osborne from Brothers Osborne received his first solo nomination as a producer of Ashley McBryde's album, Ashley McBryde Presents Lindville. And this is the 8th time that Miranda Lambert has been nominated for Album of the Year, and she's won 5 times before. It's hard to believe that Miranda will take this category home after leaving her label, so I believe that Luke deserves this award because the album Growing Up, not only is it the reigning CMA Album of the Year, but it did produce massive hits for him like Doing This, The Kind of Love We Make, and his most recent smash single, Going, Going, Gone. Something that's really interesting about this year's nominees for Album of the Year is that this is only the second time in ACM history that 3 of the albums nominated for Album of the Year were released by all-female acts. This hasn't happened since 1999 when Faith Hill, Jody Messina, and the Chicks were all nominated in this category, which the Chicks ultimately won for their smash album, Wide Open Spaces. I'm going to guess that 2 of the most boring categories of the night will be Duo of the Year and Group of the Year. The criteria for both awards include success at radio, consumptions like sales and streaming, success in digital media, live concert ticket sales, and vocal performances. But the truth is, there hasn't been much differentiation or switch-ups in these categories in almost half a decade. The nominees for Duo of the Year are Brooks and Dunn, Brothers Osborne, Dan and Shay, Maddie and Tay, and The War and Treaty. This nomination always seems like a surprise for Brooks and Dunn. While they are an iconic act in country music, they haven't released original music since their last album in 2019, Reboot, which was a re-recording of their most popular songs. They do continue to tour occasionally for their fans, but I just don't see them taking home the prize or really even deserving to take home the prize at this point in their career. The War and Treaty received their first nomination this year for the ACMs, and this has made them the first ever Black duo to receive a nomination in the Duo of the Year category. Brothers Osborne nomination in this category marks their 16th ACM nomination and their 9th year in a row being nominated for Duo of the Year. They have won this category 3 times, including last year, and I think that they are so loved and respected in the industry, especially with TJ being one of the only openly gay artists on a major label, that I see them taking home the award again this year. The nominees for Group of the Year are Lady A, Little Big Town, Midland, Old Dominion, and Zac Brown Band. Little Big Town received their 17th nomination for Group of the Year, which leaves them only 1 nomination short of the all-time record of 18 nominations in this category that is currently held by Alabama. Old Dominion receives their 8th consecutive nomination in this category, and they have been taking home the title every year for the last 5 years. But a major snub in this category seems to be Parmalee. They are the only country group to actually have a mainstream #1 hit in 2022, and they are not nominated. This year, the ACM added a new category called Artist Songwriter of the Year, and I think it will quickly become one of the most coveted and respected awards. The nominees for the first ever Artist Songwriter of the Year are Morgan Wallen, Hardy, Ernest, Miranda Lambert, and Luke Combs. With that being said, the Academy defines Artist Songwriter of the Year as someone who is predominantly known as a songwriter And I just don't think that that's true for Morgan Wallen. Wallen only wrote 14 songs on his last album that had a total of 36 songs on it. And while I still believe he's an incredibly talented songwriter and has had impressive cuts by other artists like Jason Aldean and Keith Urban, I just don't think he's predominantly known as being a songwriter. Lambert and Combs, on the other hand, have a little bit of a bigger reputation as being true artist-songwriters that have a hand in writing most of their own original work. But the only nominees that I think truly fit the definition of being a songwriter first are Ernest and Hardy, so I would like to see one of them take home this award. But I'm still a massive fan of everybody else in this category, so that makes it a really hard decision. Songwriter of the Year, however, is dedicated for the behind-the-scenes songwriters that are not really actively pursuing a solo career in music. And the nominees are Nicole Gallion, Ashley Gorley, Chase McGill, Josh Osborne, and Hunter Phelps. Here's a breakdown of their discography and the most notable cuts they've had over the past few years. I do see Ashley Gorley taking home this award because he's had over 50 number one hits and he's been honored as Songwriter of the Decade for most of the 2010s and just continues to stay relevant and put out consistent hits. But everyone nominated is deserving of this award. Next up, we're going to be looking at the Female Artist of the Year category and the Male Artist of the Year category, both of which have an interesting mix of new and established artists nominated. Similar to the Group/Duo of the Year award, this award gets distributed directly to the artist, and the Academy encourages you to vote based on commercial success at radio and other consumption, such as streaming and sales, success in digital media, live concert ticket sales, and vocal performances. Nominees for Male Artist of the Year are Kane Brown, Luke Combs, Jordan Davis, Chris Stapleton, and Morgan Wallen. This marks Chris Stapleton's 8th consecutive nomination in this category. Morgan Wallen and Luke Combs are the two biggest and most relevant country artists right now, so they were shoo-ins for this category, and in my opinion, the frontrunners. I was surprised to see Jordan Davis here, but he has been climbing in popularity, especially since his 2021 collaboration Buy Dirt with Luke Bryan that took over the internet, the radio, and TikTok. In the past year, he's also garnered another number one hit with What My World Spins Around, which helped land him this nomination. This is Kane's first nomination in this category. Kane has been vocal in interviews about constantly being left out of award shows in past years, so we're happy to see him included, but it's hard to believe that he'll go from no nominations to winning. And a notable snub in this category was Thomas Rhett, who received no nominations for the ACM Awards this year after being nominated for Male Artist of the Year the past 6 consecutive years. Nominees for Female Artist of the Year are Kelsea Ballerini, Miranda Lambert, Ashley McBride, Carly Pearce, and Lainey Wilson. Lainey Wilson is the reigning champion in this category and the most nominated female artist of the night, so I could see her securing the win. Miranda Lambert secured a nomination ahead of Carrie Underwood, which is interesting considering Lambert left her label and most likely lost a lot of Sony's support in the voting process. However, Miranda is the most nominated artist in ACM history, receiving her record-breaking 17th nomination this year, officially beating out Reba, who previously held the record with 16 ACM nominations. 2 major snubs in this category were Maren Morris and, as I previously mentioned, Carrie Underwood. Morris received no nominations after being nominated for Female Artist of the Year the past 6 consecutive years, and Underwood was also left out of the category after a very successful year. And now for the biggest award of the night, Entertainer of the Year. This was the first time ever that the Entertainer of the Year category had 7 nominees. The Academy of Country Music defines the factors that should be considered when voting for Entertainer of the Year to include, but not be limited to, success at radio, consumption, such as streaming and sales, success of music videos, vocal performances, live concert ticket sales, artistic merit, appearances on television and in film, songwriting, success in digital media, and contributions to the country music industry. The nominees are Jason Aldean, Kane Brown, Luke Combs, Miranda Lambert, Chris Stapleton, Carrie Underwood, and Morgan Wallen. Miranda Lambert is the reigning winner in this category, so it's nice to see both her and Carrie Underwood nominated again as they remain the current female powerhouses in the country music industry. But more notably, Morgan Wallen received his first nomination in this category, making a career total of 9 ACM nominations. Last year, he took home ACM Album of the Year. Kane Brown becomes the first biracial/Black artist to be nominated for ACM Entertainer of the Year since Charlie Pride won this award 50 years ago in 1972. This is the 4th year in a row Luke Combs is nominated for both Entertainer of the Year and Male Artist of the Year. I was surprised to see Jason Aldean on this list because he's been better known for his politics over the past year than his music. While I truly have no clue who will win this award and I don't have like an educated front runner, I feel like based on the pure definition of the category for Entertainer of the Year, it should be Carrie Underwood. Her Denim and Rhinestones tour showed the electrifying performer she is. She literally sang inside a hanging spinning ball above the stage. Underwood had singles like Hate My Heart and Ghost Story all over the radio, and she's always accredited for taking country music into popular culture, especially with appearances on television like her iconic Sunday Night Football performance. Lastly, I'm going to dive into 2 of the smaller but still exciting awards of the night, which are Visual Media of the Year and Musical Event of the Year. Visual Media of the Year, which I think was previously Music Video of the Year, is awarded to the producer, director, and artist for an outstanding piece of visual media released by an artist supporting a song or single. Emphasis should be placed on creativity, production, visual appeal, and impact on consumers and the country music industry across multiple platforms. Nominees this year are Heart First by Kelsea Ballerini, who I think dominates this category. Her visuals set the bar higher than anybody else does in country music. She Had Me at Heads Carolina by Cole Swindell. Thank God by Kane Brown and Caitlin Brown, which as we know has a lot of momentum behind it. Till You Can't by Cody Johnson. Wait in the Truck by Hardy and Lainey Wilson. This video helps bring awareness to domestic violence, and it's a powerful statement, so I could definitely see this being one of the frontrunners. And What He Didn't Do by Carly Pearce. I think this video has some pretty visuals, but I don't see how it stacks up to the fellow nominees in this category. Lastly, we have Music Event of the Year, which is awarded to the artist, producer, and record company. Nominees are At the End of the Bar by Chris Young with Mitchell Tenpenny. Chris is also nominated as a producer on this track. She Had Me at Heads Carolina, the remix with Cole Swindell and Jody Messina. Thank God by Kane Brown and Caitlin Brown. Thinking About You by Dustin Lynch featuring Mackenzie Porter. This feels like one of the older choices in this category, but it did spend 6 weeks at number 1 and is one of the longest running top 10 singles in country radio history. And lastly, Wait in the Truck by Hardy featuring Lainey Wilson. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more country music news and updates. Let us know in the comments who you want to see win at the 58th Academy of Country Music Awards. Remember that you could tune in on Amazon Prime or go to the THENASHNEWS website /social media pages on May 11th to see the winners, performances, highlights, and more.